They say great minds think alike, but this is ridiculous, honestly. I have termed this particular presentation Many Firsts. Can you believe this? I think Sonia stole my presentation, and then Crystalline helped her to steal even more of it. Anyway, I termed this report Many Firsts because I realized there was a first-timer or a first-time happening appearing in each section of this report. I began to feel that this was no coincidence, so I followed my instincts and stuck to this theme. What are the many firsts, you're perhaps wondering? Well, now you don't have to wonder because Sonia told you all. But first, I ask you to have a little bit of patience, and I will help you to see. First of all, this was the first time that we had such a large group of students. So large, in fact, that this is the first time we had to have 3 groups instead of 2. And, as said before, the first time we had a Colombian among that group. It doesn't really seem like a pattern of firsts, you're probably saying. But wait, before you come to your conclusion. When we look at our teaching staff, we could argue that we still have our stalwarts, Janice and Amril. Well, that's Amril and then Janice. And even our staples, like Chernelle and Crystalline. But what do we have here? Take a first look at our first-timers to the program, Dawn and Claire. Now, Dawn is one of my past ESL students at the university who went to Colombia to teach English as a foreign language and returned to Barbados hoping I would give her a job. I'm just kidding. And Claire was a very fortunate find, you know, a friend of a friend of a friend who happened to be a linguist. Now, you know that cannot be a coincidence, right? Because there's nobody in this world knows 2 linguists. Okay, but she decided that she would volunteer as our conversation and phonetics trainer, which was right up her alley. First idiomatic expression for the night, learn it. And in terms of the administration, we could say that there were the same old people for the most part. But this is the first time that Eldona Bino has been a part of this program as our assistant. Now, Eldona was on maternity leave when the program started, but she came back at the right time to be part of my first ever Many First presentation. Now, you see, that's not a coincidence, right? Okay, but seriously, I started to get a little bit worried when I noticed that, like every other aspect of the program or this particular report, there was even a first for the academic program. Yes, we still had our usual phonology and writing and reading and conversation and listening. And we even had our same seminar presentations, as you would note here, in the areas of cuisine, photography, tourism, politics, sports, gas and oil engineering, second language learning. But we had our first-timer, Francisco Anzola, as a presenter on the program representing the Venezuelan embassy. And do you believe that this was also the first time that we ever had a community outreach program? And I want to place on record that I felt so grateful to work with these wonderful people who were part of these community outreach programs. Students were expected to volunteer their skills, their knowledge, their talents, their time, and their resources to community organizations as a way of giving back to the community. And as you can see, the students enjoyed themselves. Look at Luis, looking like it's the first time he ever touched a dog or was ever in a cage. And here are the students working with the Barbados Vagrants and Homeless Society. But seriously though, the biggest shocker for me of the many firsts, when I realized that something had to be terribly wrong, was when on our Friday tours, I could get all the students, for the first time, all 38 students, on the bus in a timely manner. That's what it used to look like. They used to be running for the bus because we were leaving them. And this is what it looks like now. It's a little packed, but everyone is on board. Have you ever tried getting Latin Americans on, on a bus, on time, when they have a camera in their hands? It's near enough impossible. But talking about touring, this was the first time we ever had 2 shuttle drivers. Our first shuttle driver, Junior, was joined by our first-timer, Mr. Wendell Cox. So do you believe me now that this is not all a coincidence? Right, there were many firsts on this program. And you would think that they would be all over by now, right? But no. They flowed into our extracurricular activities. For example, this was the first time we ever had a team called cornmeal dumplings. And let me tell you, they rocked. They won. This was the first time that the same team ever won both the Amazing Race and the Sports Day. And this is the first time and the last time that the teachers will ever participate in the sports at Sports Day. Please read the warning on the screen. So I want to congratulate those amazing racers. Congratulations to Team Cornmeal Dumpling. And congratulations to Janice on her soca aerobics. But on a more serious note, there were some very inspiring firsts. It was the first time our program had a Facebook page. Please check it out, like it, and share it with people who can afford to pay, please. It was the first time we had our own email service because Sonia and Stacy's inboxes can no longer accommodate these files. And very soon, it will be the first time that we have our first ever website. So yes, we have come a long way from the first time we opened our doors in 2008. We have grown in wonderful ways through a lot of tribulations, and I'm sure that there are many firsts for many of you as well, you students. The first time you probably ever took a formal course in English, or the first time some of you might have traveled, the first time you've met each other, although you're working in the same company, in the same country, and the first time I know that you've ever experienced life in Barbados. So what do I hope that you take away from this experience? I hope that you learn that first is just a step in the long path of learning, but a very necessary step to get to the next stage. I only ask that with this first step of learning English, that you ponder your next steps carefully so that you teach, inspire, and motivate yourself and others to continue forging ahead so that you and they can create many other firsts. Thank you very much, and congratulations. You're all first class.